In the previous episode, you had the chance to follow our struggles in this very place. This is exactly what those 10 hours looked like, during which the sun managed to travel across the sky from east to west. It was a memorable day, full of dust, frustration, exhaustion, but also an unbroken sense of humor. What began as just another stretch of trail turned into one of the most intense experiences of this trip. The equipment failed, we couldn't. If you haven't seen that story yet, I encourage you to watch it. It's a 1-hour tale about teamwork, trust, and what happens in your head when everything starts to fall apart. Digging, winching, swapping lines, switching winches, broken half shaft, removing the drive shaft, all under the scorching sun and choking dust. An episode that became a lesson, one from which you can take away what we did well and what we could have done better. Episode about the reality of solo overlanding when you're forced to step far outside your comfort zone. After the battle with the terrain, we went looking for a place to sleep near the water to wash off the hardship of the entire day. We ended up here, on the western edge of Anatolia, where the plains of Ödemis give way to the gentle hills of Beydağ. Here lies the small village of Çiftlikköy, home to about 170 people. It's the kind of place you won't read about in guidebooks or see on postcards. The road to Çiftlikköy branches off inconspicuously from the asphalt that connects the larger towns of the region. 2 kilometers of gravel lead through an area that looks as if a war had only just ended here, before disappearing in the turquoise water of Beydağ reservoir. This reservoir was built between 1994 and 2007 to tame the Medner's River and bring life to the surrounding fields. And indeed, its calm surface is now the heart of the agricultural existence of thousands in the region. The place, however, left a rather somber impression, especially at night. Daylight, on one hand, lifted some of the gloom, but on the other, revealed the vast rubble of houses scattered across the surrounding hills, which is why we stayed only as long as we had to. We managed to find a secluded peninsula right on the water, a little away from the ruins whose windowless walls stare like empty eye sockets, even more haunting at night. Boats were moored along the shore, which could have brought a touch of life to the area, but most of them looked like this, again bringing one thought to mind. From above, the area seemed completely deserted, but among the abandoned houses, there was still some where someone remained, seemingly against all odds. In this setting, we encountered a lone fisherman who had trouble making it up the hill. A funny situation given our own experience the day before. Luckily for him, we were close by and had tire slits, though, to be honest, the cooperation didn't go too smoothly at first. Only after Marta and I started pushing together did we manage to free him from this trap. We set off again shortly after 10. The first 40 kilometers took us along local roads, experiencing the province from the tourist trails. After leaving Beydağ, the road immediately begins to climb with switchbacks up mountain slopes covered in green carpets of trees and shrubs. This part of western Anatolia surprises with its lushness, far from the barren, scorched landscapes often associated with Turkey, and which we will sooner encounter again near the next stop of our journey, Pamukkale, rising from Anatolian landscape like a miracle no one expects to find here. Among gentle, brown golden hills dotted with green shrubs, as if someone had scattered them carelessly across the heated earth, suddenly emerges the blinding white of travertine terraces, like snow in the middle of summer, cutting sharply against the surrounding roughness. It's as if another world is about to open its gates before us. previous episode, we were fighting to survive. Today, step by step, quite literally, we're entering a completely different world. This is the world of Pamukkale, which in Turkish means cotton castle, a land of white terraces and steaming pools, one of the most surreal places in all of Turkey. But before the white of the travertines burns into your eyes and memory, the lower part of Pamukkale greets you with calmness and greenery. We're coming in from the town side through what's known as the lower gate. Interestingly, this side is far less crowded than the upper entrances, where two buses usually unload. I highly recommend entering from here, ideally early in the morning.
To nie moja wina.
As you can see, after crossing the gate, the area looks more like a city park than a prelude to one of nature's greatest wonders. Ducks bask lazily at the lake's edge or glide across still water, and if you look closely, you might even spot turtles swimming just beneath the surface. One interesting fact: in 2021, a tourist discovered giant twin turtles in this very pond. They shared a digestive system and a pair of back legs. The animals were taken to the university lab for study, as it was deemed highly unlikely they could survive in the wild. After this brief moment among the local flora and fauna, we start heading toward the terraces. The active travertine zone is strictly barefoot only, no shoes allowed. This protects the delicate calcium deposits. But honestly, that restriction makes the experience even more intimate. Barefoot, you can truly feel the warmth of the thermal water flowing over the rich stone, hard as rock should be, yet oddly soft in form and texture. As you can see, our walk up the terraces is just beginning. The weather is perfect, the crowds are minimal. It's time to immerse ourselves in this extraordinary place. We decided to divide our day in Pamukkale into two parts. The first one, we spent lazily on terraces, taking advantage of the early hour that still allowed for a bit of peace and quiet. For a place like this, it was almost deserted, something that truly surprised us, considering it was already June 26th, not exactly off-season. I have to admit, I had never been anywhere quite like this before. Experiencing it barefoot was simply incredible. The water flowing down the terraces was warm, and underfoot you could feel not just rock, but what felt like the fossilized waves of time. The structure of the limestone forming Pamukkale's terraces resembles a ribbed pattern, as if the earth was trembled here, and that trembling solidified into stone.
Kleopatra, jako legendy. Wcale jej tu nie było. I ponoć była bardzo brzydką kobietą, jak się wykąpała w tej wodzie. Stała się boginią. Więc zanurę się.
In this section, some of the terraces have been modified by humans to create small pools where you can actually bath. After the previous day's challenges, soaking in this warm, mineral-rich water finally made us feel like we were truly on vacation. The turquoise color of the pools contrasted beautifully with the white limestone surfaces, and it was impossible not to stop just to take it all in. Walking across this petrified landscape feels like stepping into something ancient and alive, as if those waves were about to move again at any moment. Your feet feel uneven texture, not painful, but soothing, messaging, surprising, guiding you through a world of miniature valleys and shelves. The water, enriched in places with various oxides that tint the calcium carbonate into subtle shades, still breathes life into these forms, reflecting light, carving details, creating micro-worlds of shimmering reflections. From the air, Pamukkale looks like a frozen volcano from another world. White, intricately carved shelves cascade down the slope like a snowy lava. But it wasn't frost that shaped this landscape. It's the result of thousands of years of patient work by water, hot, mineral-rich and saturated with calcium. When the water emerges from underground, it can reach several dozen degrees Celsius, but as it cools on the surface, it begins to deposit calcium carbonate. The sediment settles, hardens, and forms the characteristic snow-white terraces. Over millions of years, these deposits have built up several meters thick, and the mountainside has transformed into what looks like a frozen waterfall. People have known this place since the dawn of history. As early as 2000 BC, the Phrygians used these springs, not just for bathing, but as a ritual of health and purification. Later came the Greeks, then the Romans and Byzantines. It was the Romans who built a vast spa complex here, Hierapolis, the sacred city we will visit later. They believed this place had the power to heal, but also to connect the world of the living and the dead. For thousands of years, the water flowed here naturally, fanning out over the slope, filling one basin after another. But this water isn't infinite. In the 20th century, people wanted not just to touch it, but to possess it. In the 80s and 90s, hotels began popping up around Pamukkale, many of them illegally diverting the water into private pools, depleting the natural flow. The terraces began to dry out, the surfaces darkened. The pools, instead of sparkling with water, crumbled into dust. At one point, what had once been a natural wonder started to reassemble its own ruin. Up close, the structure of the limestone resembles a petrified wave. Rough ridges, sharp like coral, softened only by the gentle water beneath your feet. Where once only nature shaped this place, today it needs our help to survive. Unfortunately, the Turkish authorities responded. The hotels were closed, some demolished. A protection and rotational irrigation system was introduced. The original splendor of this place may never fully return. Today, though, still spectacular from a distance, reveals its wounds up close. And perhaps that's exactly why it's worth coming here, not just to marvel, but to understand what happens when a natural wonder falls into the hands of human greed. A greed that takes without restraint, without reflection, and without thinking about consequences. And here we are at the part of the ancient city of Hierapolis, mentioned earlier, founded by King Eumenes II of Pergamon around 190 BC. Even back then, the place was considered a healing sanctuary, and its hot springs attracted pilgrims and people seeking treatment. In 133 BC, after the death of the last king of Pergamon, the city became part of the Roman Empire. It was during this period that Hierapolis reached its greatest prosperity. Like every typical ancient city, Hierapolis boasted temples, a theater, a market square known at the time as the Agora, as well as bathhouses and public latrines, which you can see now. They are located just beyond the impressive triple-arched gate of Domitian, named after the emperor, which served as the entrance to Hierapolis from the necropolis site. On either side of the gate, parts of the defensive towers with circular bases have been preserved. From this gate, the main street of the city, the Frontius Street, began. Those public toilets were built at the end of the 1st century AD. Despite appearances, they formed a rather grand Doric-style building, 20 meters long and 6 meters wide. A row of columns divided the structure into two parts and once supported a roof. Two channels supplied the latrines with clean water, while waste was carried away through a sewer running beneath the street. Continuing toward the necropolis, we encountered the impressive structure of the Roman baths, built in the 2nd century AD. Constructed from blocks of travertine, the baths featured underfloor heating and water was delivered through a system of aqueducts. In the 6th century AD, the baths was transformed into a 3-nave church, which was later destroyed by an earthquake. The northern necropolis of Hierapolis is one of the largest known ancient cemeteries in present-day Turkey. It stretches along both sides of the ancient road leading from Hierapolis to Tripolis, Philadelphia and Sardis, covering a distance of about 2 kilometers. Researchers have categorized the burial types found in this necropolis into 4 main groups. Simple graves for poor citizens and slaves, tumuli, round-based burial mounds, and barrow from the Hellenistic period, featuring narrow corridors leading to burial chambers covered with earth. Family tombs built in the form of small houses or temple-like structures, and sarcophags, either carved from limestone rock or made from marble slabs, some placed on pedestals to elevate and honor the memory of the deceased. Inscriptions found on sarcophags and family tombs have provided scholars with valuable insight into the lifestyle of the ancient Hierapolis. Unfortunately, most of the tombs were looted long ago. Many of the tombs are accompanied by the detailed informational plaques and numbered signs that help visitors navigate the site. A thorough exploration of the necropolis can easily take several hours. Since Hierapolis is located in an active seismic zone, it has been struck by numerous earthquakes over the centuries. In the 1st century AD, 2 major quakes in the years 17 and 60 almost completely destroyed the city, so most of the well-preserved ancient buildings are dated to the period after those disasters. As the day was slowly coming to an end, we didn't explore the entire site in detail. We simply walked along Frontius Street, passing through the northern Byzantine Gate toward the remarkably well-preserved Roman theatre, constructed in the 3rd century AD. It was built using a Greek architectural approach. The audience seating was supported by the natural slope of the hillside. Before we began our return journey toward the lower gate, we made one last stop at the Plutonium, a sanctuary dedicated to the god of the underworld, known in Greek mythology as Hades and in Roman as Pluto. The name Plutonium refers to the gate to the realm of Pluto, a small cave accessible via narrow stairs located on a tectonic fault line from which toxic gas, carbon dioxide, escapes to this day. In ancient times, priests would descend into the cave to prove their connection to the supernatural world by emerging unarmed. To avoid poisoning, they trained themselves in holding their breath and knew exactly where pockets of breathable air were located. Worshippers were encouraged to purchase birds or other small animals and toss them into the plutonium to demonstrate the cave's deadly fumes. When the animals perished, but the priest reemerged unarmed, it was seen as a sign of divine protection and power. The experience often concluded with a request for a donation to the temple in exchange for receiving a prophecy. Pamukkale is a place that captivates not only with its unique beauty, but also with the rare opportunity to experience nature and history simultaneously. walk across the calcium-rich terraces, a moment of relaxation in the warm thermal waters, and the chance to admire this extraordinary landscape. It's an experience that stays with you forever. It was hard not to think that if Pamukkale were located somewhere in Western Europe or the United States, it would likely be far less accessible. One can easily imagine fences, railings, or other restrictions preventing our dusty feet from touching the pristine whiteness of this UNESCO World Heritage Site. But in Turkey, none of that. There are a few small signs marking off-limit zones, and here and there you might encounter park staff who whistle at those trying to stay away from the designated path. But for the most part, it's all up to your own common sense. The largest part in Pamukkale's travertine formations is the sloping hillside itself, and you can literally climb up those cascading terraces on your own feet, approaching the steep slope as closely as you dare. And of course, you're free to immerse yourself in the mineral-rich waters, even completely, if you please. As I mentioned at the beginning, in English, Pamukkale means cotton castle. The name undoubtedly comes from the fluffy rock formations that truly look as if someone had scattered giant bundles of cotton across the mountainside. Their soft, snow-white hue and gently rounded edges evoke the image of enormous downy pillows. Though formed by nature from hard calcium carbonate, them seem light and soft as clouds of cotton wool. Pamukkale's winter palette is stunning during the day, but at sunset, the place positively resonates with colors. First comes gold, soaking into the smooth edges like honey. Then a gentle pink begins to spread, reminiscent of cotton candy or the glow on freshly fallen snow. Where the surface bulges, the light shimmers like silk. Where it curves inward, it falls into shadow, creating soft, graphite-toned pockets. The water in the terraces reflects the sky like a mirror, and when the sun turns crimson, its rays strike at a low angle, making the pools glisten like liquid glass. Seen from above, tucked into the folds of limestone, they transform into silent pupils of the landscape, gazing up into the sky as the last light of day fades. It's generally hard to compare the many sunsets I've witnessed in my life, so I won't rank them, but I truly struggle to name a single one that could rival what I saw in Pamukkale. And then came the next morning. Before the first rays of sunlight touch the limestone slopes of Pamukkale, the world still seems to belong to the night. The air is cool, almost motionless, and the silence of the morning carries something sacred, as if the earth were still asleep, veiled in shades of grey. It's a time when nature should, by all rights, remain in slumber, but around Pamukkale, something entirely different begins to unfold. In the nearby meadows, people move quietly and efficiently. Their silhouettes way between giants lying motionless in the grass, like enormous, colorful lungs that have yet to take their first breath. Some of the balloons still lie limp and empty, as if lost in dreams of flight. And then comes the fire. Its flare slices through the darkness, and the roar of the flame echoes against the surrounding hills. Gas hits the air inside the balloon's envelopes, which slowly begin to rise, to fill, to take form, as though awakening to life. For a moment, they resemble colossal pulsing lanterns illuminating the early dawn. Each one bears a different color, a different pattern, but in the still muted light, they all share one desire: to rise into the sky. From afar, the white terraces of Pamukkale remain still, absorbing the final moments of shadow. But the sky above them is already shifting. The horizon begins to glow with hues of pink and gold. As the first balloons lift off the ground, they rise like a procession of silent witnesses to this spectacle, slowly ascending above the travertine world just beginning to awaken. This moment, between night and day, between stillness and movement, is the purest form of peace. From above, the slopes of Pamukkale resemble a living map of geology and time. Every ridge, every pool filled with water tells a story of time flowing slowly, of water sculpting this place with unwearying patience for centuries. We rise higher. Beneath us stretches a mosaic: green fields, winding village roads, scattered homes, and patches of rugged earth. All of it suddenly appears small, almost toll-like. We float above the valley like passengers in a balloon, gliding silently across the sky. In this hush, with this view at our feet, it becomes clear why people have been coming here for thousands of years: to see the world from a different perspective. Pamukkale from below is mesmerizing. From above, it etches itself into your memory forever. Our spot, perched on a small hill right beside the travertine slopes of Pamukkale, feels like a front row seat to one of nature's most beautiful spectacles. There is no curtain, no announcement, only waiting. And light, slowly, almost imperceptibly, begins to paint the landscape. First in shades of graphite and blue, then in hues of pink, gold and white. From here, we can admire the birth of a new day over Pamukkale and the ruins of Hierapolis. How the limestone slopes, cold and lifeless just moments ago, begin to glow with the light of morning. How the terraces fill with radiance and how the history of this place slowly stirs back to life. It's a view that needs no words, but if any are to be spoken, let it be just one. Join us in experiencing it. Here, from this place, front row, above the Cotton Castle. After this magical morning, we continue on our journey, heading toward another of Turkey's spectacular wonders, often referred to as the Maldives of Turkey. It's the nickname given to Lake Salda, located in the Beydağ province about 80 kilometers east of Denizli. It's not far from Pamukkale, making it the perfect pairing for anyone seeking to experience two dreamlike places in one stretch. On the way, we make a short stop to refill our drinking water supply. From a simple pipe jutting from the ground, crystal clear water flows steadily. I fill our 20-liter water bag, a small but essential ritual on a journey like this. Once again, the landscape surprises us with its palette of greens splicing across the horizon like a watercolor brushed gently by nature's hand. From a distance, these hills seem soft, inviting even. But as we draw closer, it becomes clear that it's all an illusion. Dwarf shrubs are scattered densely across the slope, within an image of lush life, but the earth they spring from is dry, cracked, unyielding. There's none of the softness the view from afar might suggest. This is a raw, demanding land, not easily tamed. And yet, somehow, people have managed to settle it. We enter one of the hundreds of villages tucked away in these mountains, places that don't appear in guidebooks but pulse with real life. Along the narrow main road, makeshift stalls stretch out in a row, overflowing with fruits and vegetables harvested from this seemingly reluctant land. Despite the heat, despite the afternoon hours, locals gather in numbers, crowding the stands as if the whole rhythm of village life had gathered in that single moment on that single strip of road. We decide to join in, pulling over and stepping out into the vibrant scene, walking between the stalls, soaking in this moment of ordinary, extraordinary life.
Hoş geldin.
Sobie ponakładam.
No, to weź worek. Cebulę.
Hoş geldin.
Dobra, coś jeszcze stąd?
Nie, chyba nie.
Abbas Bey iyi bayramlar.
İngiliz.
English, yes. We'll come here.
Gracias.
Mają i spicy i normalne, nie? I te pomidory myślałem, nie? Takie wiesz.
Te pomidory mówisz?
Hoş geldiniz. Buyurun.
I ogórki, nie? Weźmiemy worek.
Bunlar çok güzel.
Tak? No, chcemy tamto?
Şu da güzel.
To są
Hadi
lepsze.
hayırlı işler herkese, iyi bayramlar. Hadi abla güle güle. Biber ne kadar? Biber 20 abacığım.
Acı tatlı.
Bunlar tatlı bak, bu acı. Vallahi bize geç kaldınız dediler.
Tyle tych pomidorków więcej się.
No, może być tyle na początek.
Şöyle 15 olur mu? Fazla mı gelir?
Okej.
Tamam. Yağdan pişiriyorsun. Tereyağı keseyim mi? Çok güzel olur.
Oj, dobra, tutaj. Aha,
Çok güzel olur.
okej.
Çok az bir şey vereyim mi?
O anlamıyor zaten.
Şu kavuna ver de yesin. Soğuktur. Tadı yok ama güzel.
Aha.
Yoğurt çöp yok mu kızım?
I take this one.
Yavaş yavaş yavaş yavaş.
Yürü yürü yürü.
Başına düşmez değil mi? Düşmez. Ya
Ne kadar?
bak ne kadar öğrenmişsin. Çok iyi.
Spróbuj sobie tego, pyszne stają.
Aha, size. Ağlasun. Peki neydi o Ağlasun'un şeyi? Oraya, buradan oraya mı gidiyorsun? Antalya mı?
Salda.
Salda.
Salda.
Salda da Salda'dan öbür tarafta.
Sagalassos var, antik kent.
Ha, antik kent var orada. Çok güzel ama oraya programda var mı?
I don't understand, sorry.
A.
Gdzie masz resztę worków? Tam są? Reszta worków jest tam? Papryczki i tak dalej?
Ale to jest dobre.
Az, tadı yok ama soğuk. Kızım
Nie rozumiem.
Ja też nie.
Ale super. Jajka, tak?
Gdzie reszta worków? Tam została, tak?
tamam alın kızım.
Ha.
Alın yiyin.
A, dziękuję.
Yiyin.
Teşekkür ederim.
Afiyet olsun.
Perfekt.
Teşekkür ederim.
Teşekkür ederim.
Tamam. İyi tatiller.
Nic nie kumam.
Dobra, teraz jaki wytłumaczę.
Despite the language barrier, we experienced the kindness of the local people. The vendors, smiling broadly and moving at an unhurried pace, encouraged us to try their products. Their warmth wasn't feigned. It radiated from their gestures, glances, and the small jokes they tossed out casually. We didn't just buy fruit, we took with us a piece of this place, the local hospitality, and the slow rhythm of everyday life. After a dozen or so kilometers, we arrived near our next destination. From a distance, the lake doesn't look particularly spectacular, but even from here, the whiteness of the shoreline beaches stands out. Yet, upon reaching it, we begin to understand its magic. The turquoise water constructing with the white sand creates a breathtaking view. Lake Salda impresses with its raw beauty and the kind of contrast that feels almost unreal. The wide, white beaches curve along the shore like someone had spilled fluoro salt. This bright strip of land clashes with the lake's turquoise surface in a way that feels almost graphic. The boundary between white and water is sharp, distinct, nearly abstract. Driving along this part of Lake Salda is a true feast for the senses. A narrow road winds beneath rocky cliffs, offering a rare kind of contrast. On one side, sheer rock walls, on the other, crystalline water in shades of turquoise and blue, lapping against pure white shores. Behind the wheel, you feel like a part of composition. Your vehicle becomes a tiny dot, slowly moving between mountain and water, not disturbing the silence, but merely coexisting with this overworldly scenery. Finding a path down to the lake isn't easy. We had to nearly circle it before discovering a narrow passage leading close to the shoreline, where we could finally immerse ourselves in the peacefulness of this place. But more on that in the next episode.